want to give a shout out to Andrew Daly, our executive producer on this. He joined the crew at the Grand Master level of the Patreon. And I'd also like to thank new Patreon members, Frederick Galloway and Benedetto Manzelli. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate the support. And we're going to continue giving you guys some great content. So for those of you who joined Patreon, the Stockton tapes are up on the Dropbox, so you probably will have received a Dropbox link by now, as well as the completed Lifetime of Gray Skies audiobook. So that stuff's all up there. Stay tuned. I got some more cool audiobook type stuff coming out. And so, yeah, thanks a lot. Everything was much appreciated. Real quick, before we get going, on it. MCT oil, exercise gear. Head on over to everythingwentblackmedia.com and check out the banners. You get, you can check out the, like I said, the foods, MCT oil, exercise equipment for like steel maces, battle ropes, weighted vests, all that kind of stuff. I get a little taste. I get to wet my beak on each purchase, and it helps keep the lights on over here. So, Andrew and I are going to run down UFC 217. So, pretty good card. Actually, one of the better cards, even though it's not getting a lot of love online, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of fights on here where, you look at it and you're like, this makes sense. A lot of these fights, and I'd say probably almost all of them, even the ones that I initially maligned as being ridiculously worthless, upon further introspection, realized that they were better than I had initially assumed.
Cool. So on the early prelims, man, Brad Tavares and Talis Lachis are on the early prelims, man.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, even though Tavares is on a 2-win streak and his losses are pretty damn good. I mean, like, his losses are to Whittaker, the current interim champion, Bosch, who's surging right now, and Romero, who is, the clear number 3 in the division. Like, no shame on those. And Leites, who, same thing, good streak, had an 8-fight win streak before Bisping beat him. He's beat a couple dudes that even Tavares lost to with Bosch, and, it's just a good, known middleweight fight. These guys aren't really going anywhere in the division, I don't think, no disrespect, but they're, consistent fighters. I look forward to it.
You got a pick for this one?
I don't know. Tavares, I like his kickboxing, his volume striking. Leites looked really good before. He sort of came into the UFC a little bigger. I don't know what happened to that recently. And that Yako looked amazing. And when he beat Leites, it's a tough one, man. I mean, I might have to go by Leites just by sheer experience.
Yeah.
So Tavares just hasn't really lived up to the potential it seems he really does have. So I'm going to pick Leites.
Yeah, I was going to go with him as well, just from, experience. He's, kind of a salty dog compared to Tavares. And also, just a quick aside, Tavares, you would look like Brad Tavares if you were on steroids. That's that's all I got to say about Brad Tavares and Andrew Hernandez.
Why, thank you.
You guys, look like him, sort of. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a compliment. I like it.
I got John Moraga versus Magomed Bibulatov. I can't pronounce his fucking last name. Bibulatov, yeah.
Not easy.
Nah, dude. The last few days, I've been having trouble pronouncing dudes' names, man. It's really funny.
Well, that's not an easy one, man. I mean, that's like,
Yeah, but I did a podcast a little while ago, and I was, stumbling over dudes' names and stuff on Friday, so. And they weren't even that hard names, really.
Well, you get an easy out on this one. This is a interesting fight. I mean, Magomed is undefeated. Moraga, a constant top 10 in flyweight division. Had a bit of a stumble at one time. All the losses that he's had are to consummate top 5 dudes. Pettis, we're not quite sure really what he'll be. I'd say that he's going to be 7 in the division for a really long time at least. And he lost to Joe B, Dodson, DJ, yeah, man, Moraga I've never really got. I feel like he's kind of this, it's on the tip of my tongue who he reminds me of, but, he's been there since the induction of the flyweight division, and I feel like he's definitely talented, but I just don't see him, really being like a top 10 guy, like more like top 10 gatekeeper. And, no disrespect to that. The guy's tough, got good subs, strong.
I kind of feel like Bobby Latov is kind of on the rise, man. You know what I mean? I can't pronounce his last name, but I've seen his fights. And, I feel like, once again, Moraga may be reaching those kind of latter years. You know what I mean? A lot of wear and tear, a lot of wars. And I think on this one, I'm going to go with Bobby Latov.
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that pick, definitely.
So that brings us to the actual prelims. I know I'm skipping around a little bit. We have a little bit of a hard stop tonight, so I just want to kind of get through these early fights. Pearl Gonzalez versus Poliana Botello. And Botello, it's her debut. And the only thing I remember about Pearl Gonzalez is that she had breast implants. So I think I saw her fight. I think she won. But I feel like this is kind of like, she lost. All right.
She lost to Cynthia Calvillo.
Calvillo, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't, it was a fight where her coach was like, oh, yeah, boxing. And it just, I don't know, man. I mean, it just didn't look, it was a terrible fight. It was really, really underwhelming. And, yeah, I was in New York, right? And there was, like, an issue where they're like, she can't fight because she had has breast implants. And that was, like, somehow that meant something to the commission, right? Yeah.
Well, I think it was like they were claiming it was like a safety issue, or like if you get punched, in the breasts or whatever, like ruptures. I mean, honestly, I see that as like a possible issue myself, but I don't know, man. I don't really have a lot of experience with fake boobs, so I don't have much. I don't have a dog in the race, man. But
yeah, I don't think the chest punch is much of a move in
not really.
in boxing or MMA. Like, you got to wear out their pecs, punch their pecs. That's not a thing really. So I think she's pretty safe. But man, this Poliana, 5-1, 5 TKOs. Calvillo, I guess she is known as the boxer, though I didn't think it looked that great in the fight versus Calvillo. This is definitely a setup for an action fight.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where I'm like, do I care about this fight? Not especially, but I understand it.
Next up, though, we got Bobby Green versus Lando Vannata, and I think this is going to be a pretty good fight.
Totally.
Vannata is the guy who wasn't he like a late replacement against El Cucuy, and he hit him with that jab and kind of rocked him.
Yeah, man, he bloodied up El Cucuy in that fight, and had a lot of people talking about that and wondering, where's he going to go? Because he looked really good. Then he floored Makdessi. I mean, Makdessi had his butt halfway out the door in that anyways, and he's someone who I've never thought should be a lightweight, honestly. And then he just recently lost to David Tamer. And in that fight, it seemed like sometimes he got it going, and other times he kind of just, didn't care. It was weird, man. It was a weird fight, and not taking anything away from David Tamer. I just felt like Vannata let that fight slip away. Like he could have won that fight.
Yeah. Bobby Green is kind of an up and down. So I mean, he lost to Dustin Poirier. Wasn't that like I don't know if that's a recent fight, but
yeah, 2 fights ago. He's on a 3-fight skid right now. He lost to Barboza, Poirier, and Magomedov. Before that, he was on an 8-fight streak. He beat Josh Thompson. He beat Pat Healy and James Krause. I mean, those are really good wins. But his head hasn't really been in the game. He's been talking a lot about how he needs money. I think his brother got shot or something. There's all these other things out there that he has to deal with. But man, after Vannata's last fight, where I felt like his head wasn't in it, but I feel like his head is in it more than Bobby Green. So Green, who seemed like someone who had a lot of upside, not too long ago. At this point, I think, I don't expect him to gain a solid footing and continue rising up the ranks at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like Vannata's probably got a little less, he's like a newer face on the scene, too, you know what I mean? And I think I'm going to go with Vannata on this one.
Yeah, me too. And even looking at their records, I mean, Vannata is only 9-2. He trains at Jackson's. And Bobby Green's 23-8, so that's a lot of mileage.
Can you imagine having that many fights, man? Jesus Christ!
No, dude, that's crazy.
You know what I think about is not so much the fights, but the training camps.
Yeah.
31 training camps, dude.
And probably more because there's probably one he got injured or one his opponent got injured or something, you know?
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So we got Ill Will Brooks versus Nick Lentz. And
thankfully, this is a good bounce back fight.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Will's coming off 2 losses. Brooks is coming off 2 losses to the Oliveras.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes. Well, it's funny. It's to 2 Oliveras.
Yeah, Alex and Charles, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I wrote in my notes, sad times for the former Bellator champ. Because, I mean, the guy came in on a 9-fight win streak and then dropped 2. I mean, granted, that Cowboy Oliveira loss was bullshit. Oliveira came in way overweight. He was, like, making jokes about it in the fight. Looked fucking huge. And I think he, like, broke a rib with a knee to Will Brooks in that fight. And Brooks was still fighting, but oh my god, he was hurting, dude. And I think he got stopped in the 3rd or something, Brooks, because of that compromised rib.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. You can't breathe, and you got problems like that with your rib.
Yeah, man.
And it's just vulnerable to other shots too. That was, it's what are your thoughts on that, man? I always think about that fight when people come in like grossly overweight, like by missing the weight by like 5 pounds. Like, do you have to?
Even more.
It was more than that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was more.
Damn.
That was a lot more. It was crazy.
Do you think that should be an automatic DQ if you can't come in? Yeah, I think so too, man. I think
Will Brooks should have got the win. Should have got his win bonus. Should have freaking won. But instead, Oliveira gets like 15% of his purse fined, gets the win bonus.
Yeah.
And then Brooks only gets a show bonus because he lost.
Yeah, that was kind of a hosing, man, honestly.
Oh, dude, it was brutal. I hated that. I was like, this is bullshit. He was like 8 pounds overweight or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there has to be some regulation on that shit, man. If you because then, that reflects on your record too. Even though you missed weight, you're still carrying an L on your record. And then financially, this guy gets the win bonus and he fucking didn't even make weight. It sucks.
Yeah. Totally, it's bullshit. And I agree. I think that's a great idea, Mike, that he should have just got DQ'd.
Yeah, totally. I don't know.
So wait, we're both picking Brooks, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Brooks. I feel like Lentz is another one of these like sacrificial lambs. I think, nothing against Nick Lentz, but it's one of these. They do this shit all the time. We always talk about it. How like you get some new jack dude. Well, not that. Will Brooks is a new jack, but I mean, you get some guy they're trying to develop, and they throw him some older guy who's only got a couple fights left in him to give him a name on his resume, And I just I kind of think that's. I hate when that happens, but I understand why they do things like that.
Yeah, I think they put a solid investment in Will Brooks, and they need to right the ship, and they should. I mean, that last loss was a crazy submission to Oliveira, and the one before that was the bullshit weight thing. But I will say. Well, you said you don't have anything against Nick Lentz. I will say, fuck Nick Lentz. I think the dude's a total fucking douche. He's like trying to call out BJ Penn, after BJ Penn's getting annihilated by people, and he's like talking shit about him.
Yeah.
And he's saying like BJ Penn is like, who is he? Blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, BJ Penn amounted to more than you ever will in your career.
Well, actually,
shit about him.
The Nick Lentz BJ Penn beef has like a couple of years of like time invested in it, if I remember correctly. I mean, that's been like an ongoing feud between those two guys. No, I mean, I'm saying Nick Lentz as like nothing against him as like a fighter, but like, the guy's had his day, I think, sort of, and I hate
totally. And I was just saying the opposite. I was saying fuck him.
Yeah, okay, cool. I try to there's certain people I vehemently dislike, but I try to be objective about most people unless,
certain red-bearded gentleman. Not Champ Morgan. No.
Nah, dude, I love those
other guys. He's on a different continent, so
yeah. I don't know much about this Tom Duquesnoy.
Oh my god, dude! I figured this one out earlier. I think right. It's like it's Duquesnoy.
I feel like I've seen him fight, but I don't remember much about him, honestly.
I was thinking back to this one, and I'll say quickly, I know absolutely nothing about his opponent, but
Cody Stamann.
That Patrick Williams fight, I remembered, some older guy, some older fighter, like probably in his early 40s or late 30s, which obviously is old in fight years, and dude was mega, looked jacked, in shape. Oh my God, he gassed. He gassed like 2 minutes into it, like hardest I've ever seen anyone gas. It was like he had just come back from they're like, all right, we're going to have you do a triathlon, and they're going to fight immediately afterwards. It's going to be great. We're going to do a YouTube series on it. And, man, he got destroyed. It was crazy.
I don't know if I can even pick this because I don't know anything about these fucking guys, honestly, man. Duquesnoy versus Cody Stamann. Not much intel for me,
Yeah, I don't know anything about Cody Stamann.
But now that leaves us with the main card, which has got an action-packed main card, in my opinion.
Hey, let me say really quick.
Yeah.
There's not... I don't know. I really liked him on the show, but Matt Schnell must be probably the opening fight for this whole thing. That guy looked like he had so much promise on that series of flyweights, The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, right,
It was a great season.
I have to watch that, actually.
I think it was the best season
It's
I've
worth
seen
checking out.
I don't even know when. Yeah, it was great. All the fights in it were great. And they should have absorbed everyone from that season into the flyweight division, and they didn't. I don't know why. But Schnell looked really good on that series, and then he came in here, and he's on a 3-loss streak now, man. It's like, whoa. So this is the last shot for that guy. I just wanted to say a brief thing on that. I liked him on the show a lot, but it looks like he's going to flame out of the UFC pretty hard.
You think the big stage has got anything to do with it, as opposed to fighting at the the tough gym?
God, I don't know, man, because he fights out of I think he fights out of ATT. It might be wrong. It might be AKA, but I think it's ATT. And I don't know. He looked good in the TUF fights, and he did fight against Rob Font, which is a weight class up, and got annihilated. So that was, he probably should be on a 2-loss streak, not 3. And that's probably why they're giving him another shot. But he looks good, and it looks like, man, this is the last go for him, man.
All right, so kicking off the main card, we got Beneil Dariush versus Evan Dunham.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Dariush is coming off a loss to Barboza, and Dunham is on a 4-fight win streak, defeating Joe Lozon and Ross Pearson. But I think it's going to be a good fight, though, between these guys.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Evan Dunham's super durable. And this 4-fight win streak is over some good dudes, like you said, Lozon, Pearson. Damn, not so much. But Rick Glenn, we just saw Rick Glenn absolutely annihilate. On the last card, 2 cards ago.
Yeah, he mugged that guy. That was that dude is seriously hurt. Apparently, the guy that he beat.
He's gotta be.
Yeah,
he might just ruin that kid's career.
Yeah, and that was a guy they were actually. I can't remember his name actually, but that's a dude they're actually. He was like a prospect, kind of, I guess.
I mean, he looked like he had some Frankie Edgar, Dominic Cruz style going on. He looked really good. And man, Rick Glenn really gave it to him. So Dunham beat Glenn. I think that was his last win. And his losses are Barboza, Cerrone, RDA. No shame in those. And Dariush has looked really good. That knee from Barboza was insane. Talking about dudes having 30, 40 fights. Also, I can't believe, man, for someone to be able to come back and be like, yeah, I'm fighting still. Yeah, I'm training still. I'm a fighter. After getting just flatlined by that brutal knee by Barboza, to be able to come back from that and still have the confidence to be I can be champion is amazing.
Yeah,
that takes a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think a lot of people that probably have never had any kind of competitive moments in their lives probably don't realize just how hard that is to lose, and how hard it is to lose like that, to get just fucking beaten that way, to take a shot like that and to be all right, cool, I'm going back for more. That's a very, very difficult thing to do for most people. And yeah, I mean, I totally have respect for that, man.
Yeah, so this fight, you get Dariush, who's fighting out of Master Rafael Cordero gym. So, man, he done him this gritty 155, super durable Forrest Griffin type physique dude, super long, like just goes in there and slugs it out, these freaking not ugly takedowns, but like relentless, like ugly in the way where it's just like this guy's gonna. It's his gas tank, dude.
Yeah, he's a grinder. He's got that grinder. Like, vibe to it. Yeah, it's not like super. It's technical, but not like there's no finesse to it. It's just grind. It's like all grind.
It's like slow. It's like he throws everything, but it's not fast.
Yeah.
But it's still going. And right. It's like a slow grinder, and it just keeps grinding the beans, And Dariush become like a more Muay Thai technical dude who's got hard kicks, strong counters, and then a legit jiu-jitsu game. But so does Dunham. So this is going to be a really fun fight. There's no way this is going to be boring.
No. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Who's your pick?
I'm still going to go with Dunham on this one. I think the grind is going to overcome Dariush on this. I like him in this fight.
I think Dariush I'm going to pick Dariush by cuts.
Oh, okay. There might be a stoppage, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Huh, okay. Some elbows, foreheads, that kind of thing?
Elbows, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I read you loud and clear on that one. Nothing like a nice elbow to the forehead to stop a fight.
Yeah.
So now these two ladies that are fighting next, Mara Romero Boreja versus Kalindra Faria. This is both their debut.
When did they add this? I don't even have notes on it.
I was like, I never heard of these ladies, man. I was just like,
what happened? Did something
they got added to the card? They're on the card.
What is this?
Maybe, I don't know. Am I right or wrong? Let's check that.
I have no clue, man. That's crazy.
I just named these names, man. I hope I'm right.
Hey, real quick while you're doing that, I don't think this is on the main card, so I'll talk about it while you're looking that up. Walt Harris versus Mark Godbeer. That's not on the main card, right?
No.
So, at first I was like, this fight is stupid because I thought it was on the main card and it's just going to be two lumbering heavyweights. I looked at their records. Walt Harris, 10-5. All 10 wins, TKOs. Mark Godbeer, 12-3. 9 TKOs. So, dude, that's just going to be this ridiculous 260-pound dudes running at each other and just seeing whose fist knocks which man on the ground first. So, pretty easy breakdown of that, man.
Huh. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. It's kind of like one of these off days for me today, man.
It's all good. I didn't even know about this fight, so...
I don't know if it's... let me just take a look at this shit here.
Realistically, I don't even know if we have anything to say about it.
No, I don't have anything to say about it either, man. But it's like, I just want to be right about something today. Today's been like one of those days. This whole week has been like one of those weeks, too, of like, being wrong about a lot of things.
Well, listen to No Means No Wrong. There you go.
That's a good record.
Fuck yeah.
So, hey, man, we, the shooting in Las Vegas, man, that's like some serious shit.
Yeah, very. Yeah, man, it's crazy, It's definitely a tragedy, and if anyone listening to this has friends or family or knows someone that was affected by that, I send you my deepest condolences, and I'm sorry this affected anybody. It's not. It's a terrible thing, and anyone who has had to deal with any of the natural disasters going on right now. You had Mexico City, Houston, Florida, of course, Puerto Rico. A lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, it just seems like we've been getting hit by a lot of unfortunate stuff, a lot of tragedy, man, and it's kind of alarming on how much all these natural disasters have been. How many consecutive disasters have happened, and now I think this is like the worst shooting in the history of the United States that happened in Las Vegas. People. Yeah,
I guess I didn't even know that the Florida one was before. Was the worst one.
Yeah, now this one topped it.
Yeah.
You know? And
yeah, it's crazy, man. The amount of people injured is like, oh my God, and just knowing what gun he had.
Yeah, it's insane, man. And I mean, you know, that this is the whole discussion about gun control for like a whole other podcast. We could talk 2 hours on just that, but it's
sure.
Aside from that, I'm really surprised that mental health is not being something that's on the discussion table about people and shootings and all these like horrible things that are going on. I mean, of course, you know, the first thing everyone wants to talk about is legislation and all that, which, you know, everyone has their ideas about that, but mental health is never discussed when people do these things. They never talk about pharmaceuticals. They never talk about depression or, you know, any kind of mental health related issues. And that, to me, seems like the elephant in the room. Like, a person of sound mind does not go out and just start taking shots at people, you know. I mean,
right.
I don't know. That's just like my 1-2 cents in this whole thing. So I'm right.
Totally, you know.
I'm sorry. To basically to like make a drastic change in tone here. I'm right about Borja and Faria being on the card. I don't know.
And they're on the main card?
They're on the main card.
What the hell?
Yeah, they're both. This is their debut in the UFC. They're both their UFC debuts.
What the fuck are they doing on the main card? All right.
Yeah, right after Barrioush and Dunham. It's funny because I just looked on the UFC site, and they're, you know how like when they don't have a photograph, like a press photo, there's just like this black shape. You know, they both have these like black silhouettes. So.
Yeah.
Were they like a late replacement or something like that, possibly?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried for you to run down the rest of the card. I'm waiting to see who dropped.
As of this morning, everything's still intact. So,
yeah.
You know, who knows what could have happened in the last couple hours, though. But everything as of 0700 hours this morning, everything's still intact. I haven't looked at anything regarding fighting, any UFC stuff until just now. But everything looks cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, who knows about that fight? But now we have Fabricio Verdum versus Derek the Black Beast Lewis, which kind of a big step in competition for Lewis, in my opinion. I mean, he dropped his last fight to Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
You know, which is like, you know, that's a formidable foe, man. But, you know, taking Mark Hunt on at any stage of his career, Mark Hunt can put your lights out for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, now he's facing Fabricio Verdum, who is 40 years old. You know, he's like an older guy. But
40, no kidding.
Yeah, he's 40. But I feel like Verdum has a lot of different ways to take you out. You know, great striking. He's a master at the gentle art of jiu-jitsu. So,
he's very gentle with it.
So I think that this is like the first like truly like multi-dimensional, complete, MMA fighter that Lewis has actually fought.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, all right, hey, he lost to Mark Hunt and then was like, hey, I'm retiring. And then he's like, hey, I'm back. And they're like, cool. We're going to have you fight someone who's like ranked 7 spots up.
And a former champ.
Someone who, I mean, okay, so he only has 2 losses since his second stint in UFC, Verdum.
Yeah.
He lost to Miocic because he ran into his punch. He was chasing like a moron with his chin in the air and his hands down. I remember yelling at the screen, like, stop running at him! And then boom, he got floored. And I was just like, God! Like, it was just obvious that was going to happen. It was ridiculous. It might as well have been like Babalu versus Chuck Liddell or something. It was terrible. And then he lost to Overeem because he took him down and decided that was enough. And what did he do? He took off the second round or something?
Yeah.
It was a fight. He could have won that fight, but he didn't seem like he gave winning a real precedent. He just was assuming, hey, I'm winning. And then he lost. And that was stupid, man. That was a stupid loss. And no one wants to see Fabricio Verdum versus Alistair Overeem 4 at this point.
No, that's, yeah, you know.
But this seems like an easy win. I mean,
Well,
I don't care.
Yeah.
Verdum's 40, but if Lewis, he lost to Mitrione, Jordan, and Hunt all by TKO. I think that Verdum could repeat that.
Or submission, but then again, easily submission. But then again, I'd hate to see Lewis on top position ever. You know what I mean? That dude's like a big fucking guy, man.
Totally. I'm pretty sure he gets swept, but
yeah. But Lewis is like, he's like that, got that true X factor of a puncher's chance, though. You know what I mean? Because the dude's like, that's all he has is power punching. He's got zero cardio and just power. You know what I mean? And
he's really funny.
And he's funny. And he's fucking, give him props for his role in being a Samaritan in Houston. So he's
that was awesome. That was so awesome.
You gotta give respect where respect is due to Derek Lewis, and that
absolutely.
I mean, he's an excellent person for doing that, and and I gotta give him points for having heart. Just the sheer fact that he's ranked number 6 in the UFC with a fairly limited skill set, in my opinion. I mean, just strength and power. That's really kind of what he's got going for him. And, if he, got in a serious, conditioning program and maybe dropped some weight and, really joined, a top camp, I mean, he's a young guy, too, I think, right? Isn't he fairly young?
I don't think he is, but for heavyweight, it kind of
doesn't matter. Yeah, those guys, they season as they get older, apparently, heavyweights.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this is Fabricio Verdum's fight to lose. I mean, he should win this fight. Despite all those pluses in Derek Lewis's side, and some fun. Verdum has been in the press eye recently for some stupid comments, apparently too. But
yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, and I didn't really read a bunch. But I guess he said some homophobic, slurs, some derogatory comments. I mean, I'm not defending him, but I'm also not. Unfortunately, I guess I'm not all entirely shocked that the sport still has people with cage link tattoos and tribal tattoos all over their body, and a lot of pretty troglodyte machismo will have someone who's going to also say something stupid. And I'm not defending people by saying that. I don't think that he should say that. I think that he's actually smarter than that. And that's what's always disappointing when you're like, that guy's smarter than that. I mean, he is trilingual, he can be very well spoken. So it's disappointing for him to do stupid shit again,
Yeah, I mean, what was the word? Maricon? Is that the word he used?
Was it really?
I think it was that. Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
But the thing is, too, it's and I'm not defending him. I am not, a champion of ignorance. But I also feel that the language barrier and cultural differences play into this too. Not that he doesn't speak English, but I mean, he was expressing himself either in Spanish or Portuguese or something. And that culturally, they're just in a different place than the United States is in 2017. And, you have to have a more global viewpoint on these things and maybe not maybe a little bit more understanding as to where people might be coming culturally. And I'm not saying that when you go to the United States, I'm saying that what I am saying is that when you come to this country, you need to be aware of how people interpret certain things that you say. And that if you're going to express yourself, and that's the cultural norm, then you need to keep that within the confines of that environment, really. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that's I don't want to sound squirrely, but I don't back it, but I also don't condemn him for that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. With that word too is exactly kind of what I was just saying. But, in more Spanish, Latino culture, that is such a machismo word, that people use in order to, call in question your gender, your sexuality in order to be demeaning and derogatory. And I mean, it's pretty much like the English equivalent to the derogatory F word for homophobic slurs.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's more common in that type of like shirtless beach dude type behavior, Yeah. And I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying, like, yeah, that like especially that word. There's a little. I can see him using that with a little more kind of laissez-faire attitude than saying the English version of it.
Sure, but also keep in mind that word was used in mainstream society not that long ago either. I mean, in the United States, like that's a word that was thrown around. Like you'd see movies from the 80s, where people would be throwing crazy shit like that around with ease. And also I've been in this big kick of watching 70s films like Thief, and like all this like James Caan movies, nice. The Getaway with Steve McQueen and all that, and like classic. The ease with which men slapped women around in the 70s too is out of control, dude.
It's crazy.
It's like almost every single movie that I've seen from that era, some woman's getting slapped around by some guy. So it's and that really wasn't even that long ago, But hey, cultural norms change, We don't say that word anymore, but instead we open fire on innocent people in this country. So who knows? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I say tomato, you say tomato.
Hey man, the missus were watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
And there's a part in it where one of the guys, Bill or Ted, gives the other one a hug, and the other guy mutters that.
Yeah.
Slur. And I was like, whoa!
That wasn't even that long ago.
I'm like, oh, this is a movie, we're child do, eventually in the future, this is a fun movie we can show our child and be like, hey, look how stupid movies can be, this is fun. And then they dropped that, and I was like, oh, man. Dude.
Right. But that kind of that's kind of like the point I'm making is that, like, in this day and age, that would never fly. You know what I mean? And maybe, like, in a few years in, like, Central and South America, people will have a little more sensitivity to that kind of stuff, too. I mean, who knows? Everyone's different, man, and it's like, but still in all, when you're in, it's like when you're in Germany, you don't walk around with like a swastika, like, t-shirt on, you know what I mean? Because you can get thrown in jail for that shit over there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like I would do that in the United States either, but I mean, it's like you have to be sensitive to the things that you have to have the same sensitivity that you would in whatever environment you're in, so, I don't know.
Yeah, people walk around like assholes here. Though I saw a dude at the gym today with an Os Rotten shirt on. That was cool.
Right on. That's cool. It's funny. Today at the gym, I was training, and I had a Misfits t-shirt on. And some girl that trains there, she's like, oh, nice shirt. I'm like, yeah, I like the Misfits. And she's like, you don't strike me as someone who even really likes music. I was like, I like music, man. I fuck around with music, I just thought it was really funny,
the Aronofsky line.
I come off as like someone who doesn't like music or is not into music. So it makes me laugh.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Hey,
Cold Dead Mike.
So I'm picking Fabricio Werdum in this.
Ditto.
But also, one caveat is I don't think Lewis is that much of a fucking underdog, really, honestly. Just because he might clip him with one of those shots. He might land one of those hammers, But like I said earlier, it's Werdum's fight to lose.
Yeah, Werdum's known for being kind of cute in there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Here's what I wanted to, as my last thing for it, I wanted to say to you was, how many rounds do you think he's going to do the flying kick?
Yo, he came out right out of the box with that fucking jumping, turning sidekick against Travis Brown. So who knows, man?
All 3 rounds, dude.
Yeah.
Every round. I hope this goes 3 rounds, and I hope he does it every round.
That's really funny, man, because that's not a high percentage technique either, man.
No, it's amazing.
That's what I mean. If he catches Werdum where he's not paying attention and he's trying to be cute, it's all over for him. You don't get a second chance when Derek Lewis hits you with one of those glazed hams that he has for fists. You know, it's going to be lights out. You know, so that's my take on that. But I still think Werdum's going to win. Still think he's going to win.
And even though that totally amuses me, there's also something that is kind of alarming in that type of behavior where an individual at the beginning of every round is aware that he's doing something very trollish. You know, it's like he's focused on the fight, but at the same time, he is absolutely aware that he is being funny. And that's why I said, he has this kind of, cute behavior. It's the same thing with, like, the gremlin face that he used to make. Though that didn't bother me. I actually thought it was funny. But, again, looking back on that, I'm like, there's times where he might lose his focus because he's trying to be funny.
Exactly. Like, he might be playing up to the crowd a little too much and be a little too much of a showman,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that against Derek Lewis. Also, the thing with one last thing about Lewis, he's also I think he still might be injured too, man, because he had some serious back issues. He's been beat up. I mean, he fought 3 times this year.
Yeah, he said his back was messed up. Yeah. Here he is. He's back.
But also, he's been very busy this year. So I think he's fought 3 times. So 3 fights, 3 fight camps. It's it's October. If he's injured, there's no way he's had enough time to recover and heal from any of that stuff.
Hell no, especially a back injury. Hey man, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that Fabricio Werdum wins by an old MMA reference, the salivary.
Okay, man, we got the last 2 fights of the card. We got Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who is currently the Mighty. That's right. It changes. No longer Mighty Mouse. It's Demetrius Mighty Johnson, the flyweight champion, versus Ray, the Taz-Mexican Devil Borg, who's currently ranked number 3. So this is a makeup for the medical no-show that Borg did, like, just a couple weeks ago. So
he didn't have weight cutting problems, Mike. He just got sick.
Yeah, it wasn't even a weight cutting thing. It was like some health related sick. I don't know, man. Yeah.
He didn't get sick from cutting 20 pounds of weight. He just got sick.
Well, that was his claim, at least. Yeah. So.
Yeah, totally. It's bullshit. I can't wait till he misses weight.
You think he's going to miss weight on this?
Did you know that he fired his nutritionist? I don't need one of those.
Oh, I thought he fired him and got another nutritionist. I didn't know that. Oh, so he's trying to... Oh, I see. I misunderstood that. Oh, so he's...
taking it back to the old school.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
I used to do this on my own. I don't need a nutritionist.
Okay. Well, even, if he makes weight, it's going to be severely diminished. You know what I mean? Trying to cut weight without professional guidance, especially down to, like, 125. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
It's funny to think about that. It's like if you're, say you're 230, right, and you cut to 205. That's, what is that? Like 25 pounds, But if you cut from like 145 to 125, or 150 to 125, that's like a more brutal cut. You know what I'm saying? Like going from 220 to 205 is like a piece of cake, really. You know what I mean? But going down from like something like 150 to 125 is like because of the percentage of your body mass that you're fucking
totally, you're cutting like 20% of your body.
It's crazy. It's insane, man.
That's insane, man. I mean, maybe my math is off. I don't know, but yeah, man, I can't believe that Borg is listed at 3. He's ranked as 3.
Yeah, he's ranked 3rd in the division.
That's horseshit. They made that up. They just fucking pumped that up, dude. That's a conspiracy theory.
I agree.
Where's my tinfoil hat?
Fake news, man. It's fake news. Fake news that he's ranked 3. I mean, that's just to legitimize this whole thing. I mean, hey, it's not Demetrius Johnson's fault that he beat everybody in the division.
Totally.
It's like, but let's call it what it is. This season his like record is a little bit inflated. Cheers. and and I mean, good, good for DJ, man. This is like, breaks a record. I mean, we're both assuming he's going to win this fight. Because I mean,
fuck yeah, dude.
I mean, I'm not
ridiculous.
I don't think Borg.
The guy who lost to Justin Scoggins in February of last year, and his only win is over Josier Da Silva.
Yeah,
like, this is terrible.
I mean, in a way, I can see the Dana White beef that. Well, you should fight TJ. You should fight. Because Borg isn't really on the same level, you know what I mean, as any of these other guys that they threw out there as being opponents for him. But he is in the division. Officially now, he'll have cleaned out the division. And then I think he gets the record. And now it opens up other fights, in different weight classes. Because, I mean, I know that he fought at bantamweight earlier on in his career.
He said he would fight Garbrandt at like 130 or something.
Like a catch weight. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I think Garbrandt's like a smaller bantamweight too, I think. As far as like a guy that I think to go down to 130, to cut down to 130, I think for Garbrandt would probably be easier than some of the other guys in that weight class.
Or even a rematch with Dominic Cruz, one of only two people to beat Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, totally. Interesting about Dominic Cruz, man, because he's got a fight book too. I'm trying to remember who.
Jimmy Rivera.
Jimmy Rivera, that's right. Yeah. And that's an interesting fight. I mean, he's thought that he's like if he it'd be interesting if Rivera beat him. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, Rivera's got really good boxing and serious power in his hands.
Yeah.
He's like Uriah Faber 4.0.
Exactly. It's funny. I actually I've never like fully embraced Dominic Cruz. I've recognized him as being like an incredible fighter, but also his like gamesmanship would throw me off a little bit by him. But when he lost his title, I got to give him some respect for that. That was an excellent, way to transfer the mantle over to Garbrandt. I thought that was very classy.
Totally.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that would be a cool fight. So after if Demetrius Johnson makes it past Ray Borg, which we're both picking Demetrius Johnson to defeat Ray Borg, that opens up a whole horizon of interesting fights for him moving forward after this. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I think he still has two more fights at flyweight, Pettis. And I think that's what this is. They didn't want to put Pettis in there yet. They're just like, hey, let's throw Borg in there. Man, they're giving him a hell of a shot. He's 24. He's very young, so I think that's interesting. But, the Cejudo rematch, because Cejudo looked killer in that heist fight.
I agree with you. I agree with that. Maybe they give Cejudo another shot. Yeah,
so, I mean, I forgot who Pettis is fighting next. And then Cejudo, I don't know if he got booked or something. But yeah, I mean, that was great. As my buddy Brandon said, he had a read on him, like, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, dude. It was like he was just in there, and he was, like, seeing the body movements and knew exactly how to, react and counter, and it was fantastic showing.
So that leads us to the main event.
Yeah, man.
Well, just real quick. So this DJ versus Ray Borg fight, that was an add-on to this. This card originally didn't have this fight on there, so this has been added to the card. But now,
people, got a little angry, but again, I think it's actually for the better for DJ to be not headliner, though I think he deserves it. He just doesn't have a lot of traction, unfortunately.
So we got El Cucuy versus, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson, ranked number 2 in the lightweight division, versus Kevin the Motown Phenom Lee, currently ranked number 7. El Cucuy hasn't lost since 2012. He's currently on a huge winning streak, and Lee has won his last 5. with that his most recent fight, a recent submission over Michael Chiesa. And that was like slightly controversial. I think Chiesa would have gone out actually, but he didn't tap because I rewatched that fight recently, and Chiesa clearly did not tap.
Did not tap.
I think he would have went to sleep within 30 more seconds, but he didn't tap. So.
Yeah, his hand went there like it looked like he might, and then he stopped from doing it, and then Yamasaki was like, I'm stopping it. It was another Mario Yamasaki moment.
What's kind of funny is Mario Yamasaki will let you get your head beat in by some guy, yet, I mean, getting choked unconscious with a rear naked choke doesn't really do anything. Doesn't hurt you. It just puts you. It's a blood choke. So you're not really in any danger. You know what I mean? If the person releases once you go out. So he was like, he jumped the gun on the tap out to the blood choke. Yet he's more than happy to let some guy get his brains pounded in with elbows and punches. You know what I mean? I just found that
totally.
It's like there's no consistency with him.
He used to be good. I don't know what the hell happened.
I don't know, man.
Well, there's some interesting things about this fight. And, yeah, man, like Ferguson, jeez. His last loss was actually to Michael Johnson in 2012. And before that, he had lost in 2009 to some dude randomly to a triangle choke. Obviously, he's grown a lot since then.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He's got wins over RDA, Venata, Barbosa, Josh Thompson, T-Bow, Trujillo, Castillo, all the Yo's. And, Kevin Lee, he lost to Leonardo Santos not too long ago, 2015, end of 2015, in December by TKO.
Right.
So, which brings us to a little other fact is Ferguson's never been TKO'd, and Kevin Lee's never been subbed.
No. He has a decision loss to Al Iaquinta, too. Like, that was, I think, his first fight in the UFC, maybe. And
Iaquinta would probably be top 5 if he didn't flip out so much. Rightfully so.
That's like one of the... I mean, I really hope that... I mean, Al's still fairly young, too. I think he's only like 29. I really like to see that kid come back, and really, make a go for it. I mean, he's got a great camp, I think, and he's a game opponent. He's beaten a lot of good guys. Even though Kevin Lee was his first fight, but he still has a win over him. It was controversial, but he has a win over Jorge Masvidal when Masvidal was like 155. But that could have gone either way, and I understand there's some controversy over that. But I feel like, if you would just stop selling real estate on Long Island, Raging Al, I think, could have like a pretty cool run at the lightweight division.
Definitely. He'd be top 5. I really think he'd be top 5. And he actually might be the best person in his gym, to be honest. I mean, I know Chris won his last outing, but he might be, probably is, a lot of people think, in the twilight of his career. So unfortunately, I don't know if he wants to admit that or be there, and I understand that's difficult. But Iaquinta, a real loss for the division. But bring me this fight. It's so difficult to read because I don't have a good read on Lee. I mean, dude, his back game is crazy.
Yeah.
But Ferguson has really, really, really interesting jiu-jitsu and striking, but he's hittable.
Yeah.
And Lee cracks.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many variables in this fight. It's really tough for me to pick because also body types. Tony Ferguson, tall, long. Kevin Lee, compact, stout. So, man, it's an interesting clash.
As far as the striking goes, I feel like not Kevin Lee, I feel like Ferguson comes at weird angles. You know what I mean? Like, he really utilizes his length. And he uses bizarre angles and entries into his striking combinations. And I think that he's probably a hard guy to mimic in the gym, And Lee, his background is he's a wrestler, I think, Kevin Lee. So he's got more of a traditional grappling kind of background. And Tony Ferguson is an Eddie Bravo brown belt, I believe, in his system, which is a totally unconventional system that relies more on like flexibility and like this unique guard play system that Eddie Bravo has. So I think that like just like the sort of unconventional uniqueness of Ferguson's game, I think is the reason why he's been so successful against like the last 10 opponents he's had.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just feel like he's going to be a handful for Kevin Lee. You know what I mean? And Lee also, I don't think has the fight vocabulary. Like he hasn't. He's like a fairly he's like 25, I think, if that.
Yeah, he's really young. Yeah, I might have even confused Borg with him, or they're both in their mid-20s.
Yeah, they're both really young guys, and I mean, that's great that he's that Lee is in this position, at such a young age. But I just think that the experience and the uniqueness and the bizarre angles and unconventional grappling that Ferguson has, I think that's what's going to win him the fight. I see a submission possibly. From
I mean, the scrambles in this are going to be wild, man.
Totally.
The ground game. And the striking is going to be crazy, too, because you got, again, like the unconventional Ferguson who's going to be in there doing capoeira and shit versus Kevin Lee who's going to be doing, boxing. And while I saw some videos and it didn't look fantastic, I could imagine Lee, because he's so athletic, Ferguson throwing like a right elbow, like a left to right high elbow, and then like Kevin Lee cutting a corner, hitting him with a hook, something like that. There's probably going to be exchanges like that where Ferguson tries to get like colorful in there, and Kevin Lee just sticks to this like, basic early alphabet boxing style that really works for him.
Yeah.
So man, it's just an interesting fight. I don't know it's going to go 5 rounds.
I don't think so. What I see maybe is like in a grappling exchange, Ferguson slapping some kind of weird, unusual like rubber guard from the rubber guard submission. It's not going to be like a rear naked choke or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of
moves a Darce.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to come during some scramble. So I think it's going to be
a modified guillotine or something.
I can't wait to see that. It's going to be a great fight. These last couple of fights, the last 3 on this card, I think are going to be tremendous. I mean, the Verdum fight might only last like a minute and a half or something like that, but like but these others, I think Mighty Mouse, like El Cucuy, like these are going to be great fights. I think there's going to be a lot of good fights.
Dariush is going to be 15 minutes probably.
Yeah, it's going to go the whole distance probably. But yeah, I don't know. Exciting.
So who are you picking?
Oh, El Cucuy.
Yeah, I think I had some difficulty with Lee because I thought it was really douchey of him talking about Chiesa's mom when it's like everyone knows in the fight community that Chiesa lost his dad and like only has his mom. It's like he was making a joke like saying like she's the only one who buys tickets for you, and it was like
it verges on
saying.
It verges on poor taste, I think.
Right, totally. Like it's like normally it would be pretty freaking vanilla, to be honest, but because of the subject himself, Chiesa, ended up being very, very poor taste. So I had difficulty with that. But then I watched the thing on Kevin Lee, and he comes from Michigan, tough state, and he has some things now, and he's sharing with his folks and really wants to help them out, and that's something I can really get behind. You don't really get that from Ferguson. He's a lone wolf. I think that his story is, he had maybe a rough childhood, not very tight with his dad or something like that. Might have been really mean to him or something. So there's always those things too. Like as a fight, it's going to be very interesting, and as individuals, they're very different too.
Oh yeah.
So.
Definitely. Yeah. The other thing, too, is neither one of these guys will ever fight for the title.
Oh, yeah. You don't think that McGregor's ever going to come out and defend that shit?
Why would he fight? Both of these guys could beat him easily, I think. I mean, I think I don't think he would run the risk of losing to any of these guys. I think he's going to fight Nate Diaz next.
You know, I do want to see that Nate Diaz fight. I got to be honest. However, obviously, he shouldn't be tying up the division. He is finally saying that he wants to defend the belt only because everyone doubts him.
Yeah.
And so he, like, and you know, that dude's ego is fucking huge. And so if it's between his ears and he feels like he needs to prove something, maybe he'll do something he's never, ever done in his career.
Yeah. It's honestly, man, the sport, when it's come down to this, is in a really sad position, I think, man. The fact that, like, it's even a question as to whether or not the champion is going to defend his title. You know, it's like, if you're a champ, you die by the sword, man. You know what I'm saying? You take on all comers. If you're holding a belt, you're holding a title like that. It's like Gracie in action. You know, all comers.
Every champion defends the belt. Every champion.
Yeah, whoever steps up, you got to take them on, or lose your crown. You know.
And they as a champion want that.
Yeah.
You know, they want to keep being the champion, you know, not to just be like, hey, I'm the champion, and then be like, all right, that's it, you know.
Yeah, you know, he just wants to jump up and down, take Instagram pictures, and, you know, spend his money and all that kind of stuff and whatever. You know, it's...
Did you see that Instagram video where he was, like, super coked out?
Who, McGregor?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't follow on Instagram, so I don't know.
It was like, you know, it was from Kaposa or somebody on Twitter, I think, and he's like at the club or something, like all like out of his mind, like you know, going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not my kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know.
My comment was his movement coach didn't help his dance moves.
Yeah. So that's it, man. You know, interesting fights coming up. Once again, thanks everyone for listening, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling on this stuff. And and thank you, Andrew, for taking out some time in your day to
dude, always a pleasure.
Chat about these fights. All right, dude. I'll talk to you later.
So, man, later, Mike.
Take care.
Blood-soaked style, wrapped in a fur, trapped in a cancer. Swan song's over for the littlest dancer. Mistruth was explosive, apathetic, corrosive. When I asked for it straight up, false face, compulsive. Try to stand tall, fall and face the big Spark your town.